Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at two legendary champions getting actually pretty substantial rebalances from what I can see. So I'll be giving you my first impressions on those, and hopefully it's a bit of a step in the right direction. Let's find out. Also, I do want to mention or get your opinion at the start on how you feel about all of these Prism Crystal events. This is actually, I think, something that's genuinely good. I'm curious what you think. Basically, a Prism Crystal is not... These 30 crystals are not unlike a Sacred Shard. You miss out on a 2x event and building up Mercy and it's, tying into fusions or whatever, but you've a good chance to get champions, and it's a good set of champions, and I actually personally really like that there are these events. Now, I didn't do the Summon Rush, obviously, and I didn't bother doing the champion training, but I mean... They are really short events, but the fact that you can get what is sort of like a Sacred Shard is kind of nuts. And I like that it's in multiple different types of events, so you've got a few different sources. I don't know. What do you think about it? For me, I actually think this is one of the better... Yeah, it's probably the best summon pool they've done, because there are multiple... The summons are actually pretty decent, and there's multiple available if you want to do them. I think it's actually, instead of a Titan event, this is kind of a nice little twist on it. Shorter duration events. Yeah, with kind of a decent reward if you want to go into it. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. But here we go. The two champions we've got, Vitrius the Anointed and Hallsring, are the two champions being reworked. Let's look at Vitrius the Anointed first of all. He is a Void Legendary. That really didn't make much of a splash in the game. He looks quite cool. I mean, he looks kind of ridiculous. He looks like an Adeptes Custodes, I suppose. Very cool, from Warhammer 40k, right? He came in, he's sort of like an anti-lockout champion, but he never really made too much of a splash. Here we are. With these changes, our main goal was to elevate Vitrius's damage capabilities and make him a force to be reckoned with in the arena. From now on, he will ignore even more defense when attacking opponents, will be able to self-boost with offensive buffs, and have a more damage-focused build since, in most cases, he no longer requires accuracy. Now, let's have a look at his kit. We've upgraded Vitrius's A1 with the True Fear debuff. That's why we've got that True Fear blessing for Arena coming. It's because of this. Moreover, this debuff becomes irresistible if its first hit heals this champion to full HP. If his A2 removes at least one buff from the enemy, he'll buff himself with increased attack and increased crit damage buffs. Each hit of his A3 will now ignore 30% defense and destroy the target's max HP by 25% of the damage dealt. If the target has any active skills on cooldown, he'll ignore 50% defense instead on both of his hits. Woo! As for his passive, reduce the cooldown by 1 turn. Right, so his A1, Holy Terror, double hitter. First hit heals him. Second hit, 65% chance of True Fear. Cannot be resisted if the first hit fully heal this champion. Okay, and if it's a boss, he can do decreased speed instead. So the chance does go up to 80%. All right, fairly straightforward then. He heals himself. He's going to be very squishy, and he's going to hit hard. So it's fairly likely that he does. And it's now True Fear instead of, what was it, Regular Fear? Yeah. True Fear is much stronger. Puts abilities on cooldown if enemies miss their turn, which is powerful. It's still the same decreased speed against bosses, which is still good. I like that it's irresistible if he's fully healed. So that's great. Irresistible True Fear in Arena. Irresistible decreased speed against bosses. Nice. Storm of Righteousness. This is an AoE attack. Before attacking, removes increased defense, ally protection, strength from enemies that cannot be resisted. If at least one buff was removed, also puts increased attack and increased crit damage in this champion for 2 turns. Also ignores 30% defense and boosts his turn meter by 30% for each enemy alive after the attack. Quite a brutal hit, this one. This one's quite nice. So irresistible buff strips. Obviously, he could be polymorph. That's a problem. But he self-buffs. That's pretty big. So part of the reason this is so big is, let's say the enemy team goes first and they lock you out. Instantly resets the cooldown on one of his active skills whenever an enemy increases the cooldown of any of his skills. Gives an extra turn if a cooldown was reset. So simple enough. If the enemy team is faster, let's say Arbiter goes and then a Yumiko locks you out, this will reset one of his skills at random, either this A2 or his A3, which we haven't looked at yet, and it will yeah, give him a turn straight away. So he could potentially come straight in with Storm of Righteousness, strip off their buffs, increase attack now. That's a pretty massive buff. Self buff with increased attack crit damage. And then I presume then he nukes them, which is pretty powerful. By my hand, this has also been changed. Let me actually move me up here. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit ignores 30% of the target's defense and destroys max HP by 25%. Cannot destroy it by more than 75%. If it's a boss, destroys max HP. Okay, blah, blah, blah. If they have any active skills on cooldown, both hits ignore 50% of the target's defense instead. This is, I think, a bit of a problem with him, is if they go first and lock you out, this move's pretty good. This one's great. Like, bam, absolute slam them AoE, and gives you turn meter if they survive. If they have Stone Skin or something, or reaction procs, gives them a ton of turn meter, and he can go again. This move's not so good. It's like a big single target nuke. So the big changes here, though, each hit ignores 30% defense. Before, the first hit destroyed, the second hit ignored defense. So now both hits ignore defense, just baseline, which is great. And if they have any active skills on cooldown, now it ignores 50%. It's quite a big buff. If they have any active skills on cooldown, yeah. Okay, so both hits just straight up now, ignoring 30% defense and destroying max HP. There's no one hit does something, the second hit does another. They both do it. So this move will actually hit a lot stronger. Then he had a 5-turn cooldown on this before. It's been reduced to a 4-turn cooldown. Nice changes, honestly. Again, overall for Vitrius, nice changes. Makes him a lot more exciting. I think especially his A2 is a lot more exciting. This is going to basically kill someone. It's still random, right? It's still random which of his actives he resets. So you got a 50-50. Does it reset this one, which is just a big nuke? You could probably just kill any damage dealer almost with that. Or does it reset the big AoE? I think that it's fun. He's got massive base attack. He's quite a fun champion, right? Like a fun anti-lockout champion. I think I've seen him once, maybe twice in arena, picked against me, live arena. That's it. So I think he definitely needs buffs. I don't think he's going to be super insane. Again, like you compare him to the likes of Mythicals, right? In arena, he's definitely not on that level at all. But he's still a solid champion now. I think they're good changes. And I really like that they're giving us the breakdown as well. So that's a positive change. I don't think he's super OP, but I think before people would have pulled Vitrius and been really disappointed. I think now you pull him and you're like, okay, well, sure, he actually does smack. He does smack. So we'll see. Right, Hallsring is up next. This one is interesting. Another Sacred Order. I never actually pulled Hallsring myself. He has a whole bunch of these attacks at random. He was very, very good for Fire Knight stage 25 because he can steal turn meter and he hits really hard. So he was really good for that. Big single target damage because it's at random, but if there's only one target, he hits really hard. Could take down the Fire Knight shield, do massive damage, steal the turn meter. He was great. But then hard mode dungeons came out and he's not relevant for Fire Knight hard. So yeah, let's see what they're going to do with Hallsring. With Hallsring, we wanted to make him a more reliable single target nuker. So his random attacks on A1 and A2 are replaced with single target multi-hitters. Interesting looking ahead. He still has a random hit on his A3. On top of the existing buffs and debuffs in his kit, his skill set was also enhanced by adding decreased speed and perfect veil mechanics. Despite these changes, he remains a solid champ for PvE areas he was frequently used in. His A1 will now attack one enemy twice and decrease turn meter if he's under veil or perfect veil. A2 will make him attack 3 times. We're adding up to 75% ignore of the target's defense. This skill alone, which can be for, wow, his A3 will now land decreased speed in addition to Hex. Ooh, and buff him with perfect veil. He could be great for Hydra if this is all coming true. His passive was changed to make it easier to gain perfect veil. He now only has to hit one target. Enemy should be under both Hex and decreased speed. Okay, let's actually do this backwards. So I can understand it. Yeah. Hunter's Guile. If this champion attacks a target under Hex and decreased speed, puts perfect veil on him for 1 turn. Doesn't activate when counterattacking. 30% crit damage boost under perfect veil. That's, for Hydra, that's really good, right? In Hydra, you will nearly always have, again, the Hydra heads under Hex and decreased speed. They're 2 of the most important debuffs. So he will trigger that very often. And single target damage is really good against Hydra, surprisingly, because of how Hex redistributes it, especially from decapitated heads. It's actually really good. That's cool. And the Perfect Veil, very useful for Hydra, means he can't be feared, basically. That's pretty nice. Okay. The Perfect Veil, at least it's giving him damage in other areas. It gives you some damage reduction as well. You can't be targeted. So Witchfinder is 4 times at random. Each hit 75% of Hex. I believe that books up to... Yeah, this books up to 100%. 4-turn cooldown. Looks like that is still the same. Yeah. So 4-turn cooldown. 4 hits at random. Each hit, 3-turn Hex, 2-turn decrease speed. Champions from Bannerlords and Knights Revenant factions cannot resist these debuffs. Huh. I mean, they're both very powerful arena factions. Each hit also has a 75% chance to steal 25% of the target's turn meter. If their Bannerlord Knight Revenant steals 50% instead, that can be resisted though. Also puts Perfect Veil in this champion for 2 turns. So you got a guaranteed Perfect Veil for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. Plus perfect, he's going to be under Veil constantly. For Hydra, he would not be a super reliable source of Hex or decreased speed because it's on a 4-turn cooldown. It's 4 hits at random. Might not go the way you want it to, but you might be able to make it work anyway. And he'd be a good supplement for affinity problems. Yeah, stealing the turn meter is still there. So, I mean, it's still really good against things like Dark Fae and Fire Knight. That's cool, though. Decreased speed makes him better against Dark Fae, Fire Knight, any of that sort of stuff. Overthrow attacks one enemy 3 times. So this is no longer a random hit. So for AoE scenarios, much better. So I'm thinking Hydra. Before, all of his hits are at random. Not great. Now, they're specific, so if you've got a decapitated head, you can slam this triple hit attack into it, and that will redistribute 10% of that damage on the decapitated head, which is potentially massive, to everything under Hex, which he provides. It's pretty cool. Attacks one enemy 3 times. If they're under Hex, each hit ignores 25% defense. Ignores a further 25% defense if they're also under decreased speed. Ignores an additional 25% if they're from Bannerlords and Knights Revenant. I mean, okay, like he's starting to actually get pretty good for Arena. So Bannerlords, who do we have in there? I mean, Androck's okay and Aislin's okay, but Taris and Marishka, even Quintus is okay for Arena. You've got some good Arena champs in there. And if we look at Knights Revenant, we've got Crixia, we've Ancora, we've got Narcisse. They're big for Arena. Georgid is still used quite a bit. They're probably the main ones, like super meta ones. But okay, that's actually kind of cool. Like, maybe he could be good for live arena because of this. Certainly he could be good for classic or tag arena to just absolutely destroy those champs. He's still single target, mind you. But stealing their turn meter, and I don't know, that could be fun. That's kind of a fun idea. But yeah, all right, cool. Now the defense ignore is also really strong. So if they're under Hex, decrease speed, 50% ignore defense. That's gonna absolutely clap. Like you can get easily, what, 25, 30% ignore defense from gear sets. And then you can also get it from area bonuses for Hydra. I mean, you probably just run Helm Smasher on him anyway. In case you're missing one of the debuffs, but you'd actually go way overkill on ignore defense with this guy with area bonuses and all that. You wouldn't need Crushing Rend, for instance. At least on this move. Maybe you would for the other moves. That's very interesting, though. This will absolutely clap. I mean, if you've got Hex, decrease speed on a Bannerlord or Knight Revenant, you're ignoring 7. You will do true damage with this skill. So that's going to basically... Absolutely, it's going to delete any of those champs, like Narcisse, Taris. I think it doesn't matter. They're going to get deleted, I'd say. Rampant Blows. Attacks one enemy twice. This used to be, I guess, a double hit. Yeah, 2 hits at random. Increased attack if he crits. What's it do now? If he's under Veil or Perfect Veil, each hit can... 50% chance to decrease turn meter by 15%. Gives some increased attack if it's critical. So I do like that as well. Self buffs increased attack. And yeah, he can decrease turn meter. I guess it doesn't, yeah, it's still just 50%, but that's not bad. Yeah, so, like, you throw him into, like, a Fire Knight, go bam, Witchfinder, then you do Overthrow for massive damage, then you do a couple of his A1s for also massive damage. Then potentially you could just go Overthrow again for massive damage back into the Witchfinder and sort of cycle sort of up and down, up and down. Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Guys, what do you think about these 2 changes? I think they're actually great changes. Taking a couple of champs that are pretty cool, but not really used very much and just making them better in a pretty fun way. Yeah, Vitrius is going to be certainly better for Arena. I definitely don't think he's absolute top tier. I mean, we'll see. I don't think he's crazy top tier, but he's a much more powerful option for a lot of players against Lockout. So if you randomly pull a Vitrius, you know, yeah, there you go. You've got yourself an interesting anti-Lockout option. It's kind of funky, right? Slap him in 4-piece Stone Skin. If he gets locked out, he's just like, well, I don't die because I'm in Stone Skin, and I blast. Holsring is quite fun, actually. I like this. I do like these champions. Sacred Order's got a lot of them, where they do extra stuff against specific factions. It's really a Sacred Order thing. Like Constantine does that, Cardiel does that, and so on. I think Falman does it as well. They really hate they really hate, you know, Night Revenant and all of that sort of stuff. They really do. This guy actually hates Bannerlords. That's a bit more unusual actually for Sacred Order, but it's there. Yeah, all right, that's fun. That's fun. Okay. I think he seems like a fun champion, more consistent for sure, being under Perfect Veil. Yeah, like this used to be, if he was, oh, this is what it was before. If he was at 75% turn meter after the steal, you get Perfect Veil, which is really inconsistent. Now it just gives it to him. Yeah, again, really nice buffs to Hallsring. That should make him a lot better for a lot of bosses, especially Hydra. A lot better for Hydra. It's a big improvement. So yeah, he might be a fun one to pull and to play around now, honestly. There you go, guys. Let me know. What do you think about all of that? It's pretty spicy stuff. I think they're good. I think it's a much better set of reworks than, let's say, the Angar Fortis ones. These ones are more substantial, and it's a step in the right direction. More stuff like this. I think these are the types of changes, at least I think people will probably want to see. Definitely the types of changes I'd want to see. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Guys, thanks for watching. See y'all next time. Goodbye.